Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. All right, let's see who's in. Seneca, Kai Lucas Zachary, Tronite, Janice Windsor, Autumn Nichols, De La Noye, Shanti Moody, Larry Ranger, Nano Arts Net Drawing, Moonlit Illusion, Kay. I think that's most of you. Darko Stan, welcome. Autumn Nichols. I think that I got everybody now. Shari D's in. Cupie's in. Welcome. Paul NE9. Lord Frybread Plume. All right, lots of people coming in. Okay, so what are we up to today? I took a nap right before, so I'm kind of out of it right now. All right, so first one, ringing rocks, lithophonic rocks. This is from Chris Roberts. I heard about this one, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, but there was only one location in the world that had these magic ringing rocks. They didn't have a word for them then. Basically, if you smack these rocks, they ring like a bell. Even in this current reality, scientists don't know why they do that. But in this reality, there's a whole bunch of them. All over Philadelphia, Lake District in England. There's all these different famous ones. Pennsylvania, Kiandra, New South Wales, Bell Rock Range of Western Australia. So they call them lithophones now. They've been known for a really long time, 1885. You probably, you may well have heard of these. They've been around for a little while. It's just that there are now a lot more of them. Here's an example. I believe this might be one of the early videos that showed them. All right, so that gives you an idea what they sound like. Now, here's an interesting one I saw about 2 years ago, was that they were saying that Stonehenge supposedly had ringing rocks near it, was what I heard about 2 years ago. Now they're saying that Stonehenge rocks are it. They're saying now that the inner lining of the inner circle of the rocks are made of this kind of rock that rings. The secret behind Stonehenge mystery, ringing rocks. Often explanation of why Stonehenge builders lugged rocks all the way from Pembrokeshire, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, 300 kilometers away in southwestern Wales, instead of using the local sandstone as they did with the outer circle. Okay, this just changed for me. They apparently now the inner circle of rocks is a different kind of rocks than the outer circle. Last I heard, all of the rocks were the same, and they were all from a distance away. So this is very interesting. This keeps changing. So now they're saying the inner circle is a different rocks than the outer circle. All right, and what was it? There. Okay. An experiment at Rutgers in 1960s suggests that erosion could dull the sound of lithophones by releasing their internal tension. However, while muted, several of Stonehenge dolerites rang, enough to persuade the researchers that they all would have done so when they were first erected in 2500 BC. All right, so these are all like a certain kind of rock, apparently, that rings. Diorite, I think they were calling it, or something. A very common stone, though, but not all of them will ring, and they don't understand what the difference is the current story, anyways. So yeah, but you didn't know that one. It's totally new for me that there are different stones on the inside and outside. It wasn't that long ago that I looked at this, and that was not the case. A lot of people have said that this circle seems to change for them on a regular basis, though, too. just as other MEs in general. I'd be surprised if anybody's heard of that one, though, somehow. I think that's just changed, that the inner circle and the outer circle are different. Blue whales calling each other have changed. Biologists don't recognize the calling signs. I don't know. Last I heard, which was some time back, they changed every year. They had their own languages, their own cultural variations, and they would change often. Does anyone remember a smaller version of Lady Liberty in Paris near Eiffel Tower? I don't know. There was a lot of little versions, so I just can't swear either way. Chanty Moody's remembering something about it. It was blue stones. They started calling those kind of rock that could ring. Blue stones. I've only heard that the last 3 years, though. Yeah, my voice has gotten low the last 2-3 days again. Getting tired again. I was feeling really good last week. I'm getting kind of pooped out again last couple days. Seems like all the wonders of the world have been affected in some way. I agree with you there. I only heard of all those stones that make the bell noise about 1.5 years ago. But the inner and outer circles being different is new to me. That's Chanty Moody, yeah. Adamant is in. Have you checked out the 90-degree gong? Don't think so. 90-degree dong. Gong. Must be late. 90-degree gong. Oh my gosh. Actually, that that Freudian slip actually fits with something I'll cover later. So, all right, let's see. $90-inch. Is that different? 90-degree? So it's 90-inch gong that we want, not 90-degree gong. 80-inch. I don't know what. I mean, really big gongs are not new to me. I'm not sure what I'm looking for that would be different there. Images. $80-inch. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Yeah, Crazy Horse. I'm going to cover that one a bit, Shari. Was it 3 or 4 people in Princess Diana's crash car? I remember 3. Gosh, I couldn't swear on this one, but I think it was 3. All right, so boy, here we go. This one is from Thomas Larson. We covered this a little bit before, but it was about the sailfish changing colors with their mood. So that's a big game fish, the sailfish. But apparently, like all kinds of fish now, change color with their mood, and one of the big ones is cichlids. If anybody has kept freshwater aquarium, cichlids are a very popular freshwater fish because they're pretty hardy and they're pretty looking. So this is all going to be the same fish, and it changes with its mood. And what's weird on this whole so basically somebody was on here saying, I don't know what's wrong, my fish has this color and then it has that color and maybe it's sick, and people are like, oh no, it changes with its mood. But other people are like, what, and thought it was a joke at first. So you could definitely see a bunch of people having never heard of this, and these are all cichlid owners, so you should know. KDB $10. Wow, thank you very much, I appreciate that. So this is all the same fish. There's this yellow fish, and then it's getting greener, and then this fish here with the bars is all the same fish now, all the same cichlid fish, but in a different mood apparently, so it can grow these bars and stuff. So somebody even comments on here that most fish change with their mood. I don't know. I mean, I think the whole thing is ridiculous. I knew someone who bred cichlids as their hobby. Certainly there was never any talk of them changing colors. The whole thing is insane. I used to have a freshwater aquarium. There's no freaking way that they changed colors with the mood. That's just ridiculous. Anyways, I don't know what to say. All right, let's get to the thumbnail. Ew, gross. This one is from Christina Gerald, another commenter on the channel. This thing, they have a very large mouth parts. This is a male Dobson fly. It's a close-up of the head. The female does not have as big a pinchers, but apparently the female bites a lot harder, and I saw some images of blood coming out of a finger that got bit. Supposedly the males don't bite as hard, and they're not aggressive, so you have to mess with them in order to get bit. But this is a big bug. They can get up to about 8 inches. All right, here's somebody holding one. He was going to think about letting it pinch him, but then he chickened out. But here it is wiggling around, so that's some big, yucky, gross pinchers. Seriously. So I think there's somebody commenting in here. Interestingly, the wiki does not really specify where these are. I certainly have never seen anything like that in California. They supposedly lives around rivers because they breed in the rivers. So this was in Texas, and here was, I think this is Louisville, Texas also. So this one here, Texas, they're in Virginia, they are in Missouri. If you look over here, it just says 9 genera of Dobson flies are distributed in the Americas, Asia, and South Africa. So they should be all over. They can get up to 8 inches. There's not a lot of info on here other than they breed in the rivers. The baby version are called Hellgramites, Hellgramites, which seems kind of fitting. Supposedly they're used for bait a lot, for fishing, due to their large size, endurance, and ferocious temperament. Run for relatively high prices at bait shops, leading to overexploitation in some areas and regulation of sale in certain states. Hellgramites. Yeah. Okay. Very fitting term for them. All right, cichlids, male dolphins, flies. All right. All right, this one is from Julie Holcomb. Not Missouri, New Jersey. This is in New Jersey. There we go. Yeah, I'm afraid my voice went out again. Sometimes at late at night, I'm kind of tired and my voice go out. And the last two nights, it's been that way. Taking the nap did not help much. All right, so Hindu stuff is really popular in this timeline. So we've got the world's largest Hindu temple is in New Jersey now, built in 2014. This is all hand-carved marble. It must be really big because there's not a lot of images of it here, but there's another one after this that looks really, really big. Okay, here it's looking really big. There's another one that looks even bigger, but supposedly this one here is the biggest one. I don't see how, I mean, I guess they just finished construction in 2014. Baps Sri Swaminarayan Mandir, 162-acre place of worship with remarkable proportions. Anybody from New Jersey ever heard of this thing? Weird. Okay. And then, if that one's not weird enough, so many articles nowadays start with "not many realize" or "blah blah blah that you didn't know of," or this one's also from Julie Holcomb. So here's another Gigantosaurus, ridiculously huge, in Hindu temple thing. Not many realize this incredible palace is hiding in Texas. The Taj Mahal on your bucket list. If so, it'll be your lucky day because you can visit the closest thing to it without even leaving Texas. Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in Stafford, just outside of Houston, is breathtaking Hindu temple that looks as if it belongs in India, open to the public daily. 28 to complete. I can't believe they actually even finished this 28 months. 33,000 pieces of hand-carved Italian marble. I swear this looks like the other one. One's in Texas, though. Alright, so you start to get an idea of how big it is. The front facade does look different, though. Look at that thing. It was another, like, whole bunch of acres type thing. I guarantee you'll feel more like you're in India than Texas. Anyway, yeah, these humongous, ridiculous... I mean, I used to always say that we don't build anything like the ancient structures anymore, but they're popping up all over the place now. Hand-carved marble and everything. All right. Oh. There we go. All right, I've seen these around for the last 2 years. This is the first time I've seen a moving one. Like many, I probably assumed that it's a little stingray from the underside. Guess for some reason I never once in my entire life saw a stingray from the underside before the last few years. Now it's everywhere. Oops. Darn it. How did I get to celebrity gifts? Quit it. All right, so now they're dancing around. Now it looks like it has little feet, right? So you're probably thinking stingrays with feet. Didn't know stingrays had feet. Well, they don't have feet because those aren't feet. Those are supposed to be two little separate man parts that it's wiggling around. Not feet at all. So that puts a whole different spin on it, if I do say so. Very weird. I have not heard that that's what those are, but then everybody's talking about it here in the comments, so. This timeline likes its weird split, multiple, and weird shaped man parts on everything. And an angel's $2. Thank you. Appreciate that greatly. Going back, you guys have been talking a lot. Animals are so smart, they definitely have moods. Yeah, I don't have any problem with them having moods, but I've never heard of them changing colors to match their mood. It was only octopuses and chameleons that could do that before. Now it's like everything and its uncle, frogs, fish, insects. I'm sure there'll be more. The bug literally has tusks. Yeah, I know. It's. Eva, no offense, but your thumbnails are always looking so gross. They're not always gross. I had some nice ones. Let's look at my old thumbnails now. Now that you have accused me of such cruel things. All right, admittedly, today's does look gross. Come on, video manager. I will go back to you. Cats and dogs don't shift color with their moods. Not yet, they don't. How long until that happens? Oh, look at this. Now it won't show me my own videos. Where are my own videos? Videos. Oh, there they are. All right, the last one wasn't too gross. That one was kind of gross. The sunset wasn't gross. Of course, now that I clicked on it, I have to start all over. Now, the female of those gross bugs has much smaller pinchers, but I guess they pinch harder. All right, so sunset wasn't gross. This week's wasn't too bad. It was just some antennas. Um, this one of these halos. That wasn't gross. The rainbow plane, not gross. Okay, the fish is gross. The globe, not gross. That spiral fossil, no. The sky, no. The shark, yeah. Weird sky phenomena, no. That was gross. I don't know about this duck one. I think it's more like scary than gross. All right, this one was gross, slime. But that one, so I would say like 1 out of 3 are gross. I've actually gotten better. Look, if you go back, more of them were gross. See, I'm getting better, really. T-Box is in. And an Angel came in a while ago. Nano Arts Drawing, Carla Red Pill, Holo Girl. Temples are so white lately. Yeah, that's true, huh? Several people mention they've noticed when they go to the store or for a walk, it seems like random people just seem to be aimlessly hanging out around them. You know, I wouldn't say exactly that, but I've definitely had times when a bunch of people just showed up at strange times. I think I told the story a long time ago about that deli that was that we used to go to on Sundays all the time. Only on Sundays, because we play pickleball on Sunday and I don't work on Sunday. Well, I didn't for a long time. And I would go always to lunch after pickleball to the deli, and it was always on a Sunday because it was always the day I didn't work. So one day we went there on a Sunday and they were closed, but we had gotten there kind of early, so we're like, oh, we must have been there too early. So we canceled it, and then the next week on a Sunday we went again and they were there, and we asked them, were you not open last Sunday? Is it because we were too early? And the owner was there. We're talking to the owner, okay? He swears they've never been open on a Sunday ever until that first day. That day we were there, that day was the first day they were ever open on Sunday, and they had just decided to open on Sunday as a trial run. So apparently all those other 15 times we'd gone there, they were never open, according to this guy. So that was all weird, and my friend was all freaked out. She figured she must be just losing her marbles, but I said, no, that's impossible. They were open on Sunday. So I actually went back there by myself later after I thought about it, and I just got lunch again. I usually don't go during the week, but I just went, and then I kind of confronted the guy. I go, look, he was there again, and I'm like, I can't believe you're telling me it wasn't open on Sunday when I'm positive that we went only on Sundays. And I had verified it with other people who also went to lunch with us on Sundays only. One of the guys was just freaked out to the core when I told him what the owner had said. He was actually like, just spooked. And so then this guy backed, like he was like, no. And then all of a sudden he looks up and it was like he got the download. Because then he goes, oh, yeah, that's right. We were open for we were open for Sundays just in the summer, but not the rest of the time. But that made no sense because he had just said that they weren't open for the summer. I'm like, did you just forget that you were open a week earlier? I mean, it's impossible for you to swear that you had not been open for the last 3 months, and you had. I mean, I don't know if he was trying to just placate me, but it was weird because then he started apologizing, and he's like, oh, yeah, I should have remembered because I open on Sundays. Like, you forgot that a week before, and the week before that, and the week before that, you were open on Sundays. So I wasn't grilling him all mean like I am now talking about it, but I really was pushing on him, and it's like he suddenly, I mean, if he was any normal person, he just would have looked at me like I was a total weirdo and just whatever lady, who suddenly remembers a whole history of opening on Sundays just because some lady pushed him. It made no sense. So I sit down and I'm just kind of mulling over the whole weird exchange. And then right when I sit down outside, somebody shows up and has this huge story about how thank God they're just open on Sundays again, for the first time. And I'm like, he brought it up out of the blue. It was so weird. And then he was acting all weird. And then another lady came in and was talking about opening on Sundays, and like all these people came out of the woodwork. It was just weird. There's been a couple other cases, but who shows up and suddenly just talks about when they're open? It's just so unlikely. Within minutes. So I've seen stuff like that. I also, another time, there was this really weird guy jogging down this road where I don't see people jogging much, way out rural, and he had this weird smog mask on, and I actually turned around because he looked so weird, and I wanted to glance him coming the other way, and when I turned around, there was suddenly all these people jogging, like 6 people jogging on that road. I've never hardly seen one person. I'm like, where did all these 6 people come from? And he wasn't amongst them, though. There was 6 other joggers. Then I go up the road some, and I have to turn around again just to get back out. And now there's just like 2 joggers. Right after I'm thinking there's too many joggers. It's all within the course of like 5 minutes. It just, I don't know. There's been a couple times like that where it's like people just like spawned, just, I don't know. So I don't know. It could be that everybody just ran into their house while I turned around, and I'm sure that there's possible explanations, but it was weird. It was weird. So yeah, I don't know. The time I was talking to that guy about being open on Sundays, it's a tiny little deli. They're not busy, and there were like 3 people behind him sweeping and poking around. I'm like, how does one little bitty witty deli support 4 workers anyways? They were all quiet as mice. They didn't speak the entire time. That was the other thing that was sort of weird. Like, I guess I thought maybe some of them would chime in about when they were open, but they were all just like background they just, I don't know. That the whole thing was weird. Anyone else way too tired and has messed up sleep like me? LOL. Skookum. I do definitely go through periods of that. You may want to notice, I saw my first commercial for it today, I believe it was. Might have been yesterday. Narcolepsy is very common in this timeline. Now, when narcolepsy first came out, quite some time ago, it was this weird thing where people would suddenly fall asleep. It was just some kind of weird defect in their brain stem, I believe it was. Then we had those weird sheep that do it, that are genetically prone to falling asleep if they're startled. But nowadays, they're saying, was it 1 in 2,000 people have narcolepsy? And most people do not actually fall all the way asleep. It's characterized by overwhelming daytime drowsiness and sudden attacks of sleep. They call the sudden attacks cataplexy. Now, you don't actually have to fall all the way asleep, but you just get really, really sleepy, and you have muscle weakness. And it's hard to stay awake in certain situations during the day. Your sleep at night may not be good. Another thing that it's marked by is if they do sleep study tests on you, they'll find that you go into REM sleep right away. Like your REM sleep cycle is not normal. Sudden loss of muscle tone is called cataplexy. You may have like slurred speech or like hard time focusing the eyes. I don't have this at all, but sometimes the cataplexy is controlled by intense emotions. often positive ones. Sleep paralysis, changes in REM sleep. You may fall asleep while performing a task you normally perform, such as riding. You may continue to perform the task while asleep. Then when you wake, you can't remember what you did, and you probably didn't do it well. All right. They used to always say that it was just some kind of brainstem defect, but now they're saying that it is an autoimmune disease where these hypocretin cells are attacked by the brain, and the brain does not release enough of this substance that controls alertness. Another thing that's different now is they're saying it's also tied in with appetite control, like this hypocretin. Now, the last time I looked into narcolepsy, which was about 5 years ago, there was not one peep about appetite control, or that narcolepsy was paired with obesity, irregularities in appetite. They're starting to tie it in now with that this hypocretin stuff, sometimes also called orexin, is maybe in charge of energy deposition in the body. So you basically kind of like have a giant power outage if it's. Now what's weird is they're saying that it's an autoimmune attack by the body on these cells, so you don't have enough of the substance. But the attacks are strangely sudden, and then you're over them. So it'd be weird if you're constantly low on these substances. You wouldn't expect like this sudden attack and then recovery like that. So the whole thing is a little weird. But anyway, I'm starting to really see a ton about lots of people having narcolepsy, and there was even a commercial for it on TV. So, do you have narcolepsy? So, I don't know. It might be like this is the new chronic fatigue syndrome, basically, is going to be narcolepsy. I've also wondered if I might have it. I do go to REM sleep like in seconds after I fall asleep, so I don't know. So there's no cure, but they treat it with stimulants during the day, and sometimes they'll take sedatives at night. You're basically trying to get your sleep schedule back into its normalness, sleep better, and then not sleep during the day. I'll tell you that stimulants during the day help me, although coffee is too weak to do anything, but. So anyway, it's kind of an ME for me, this whole prevalence of narcolepsy thing. So, how much is this stuff just a cover for, what's really behind these things? There's no cure. So, I mean, they could say it's anything. People talking about being gang stalked. I'm just not sure what to think about all that. If are you manifesting something? Are you really being stalked? I don't know. I've definitely had things where random people have come up acting aggressive. I'm kind of a fighter, so I just get ready to fight. I don't want to, but I'm ready to do it. And once I kind of get this attitude, like this is not going to happen, they just, maybe that attitude is kind of, it blocks it. I don't know. I don't want to say people have a victim mentality and are bringing it on themselves, because I don't know if that's the case. But on the flip side, everybody I know that's fairly proactive with their attitude, I don't know of anybody of those types that gets gang stalked. So maybe if they smell weakness, then they're going to harass you. The other thing about gang stalking is it seems like it's mostly just fear-based. They're scaring you, they're messing with you, but I haven't really heard much about anybody actually getting hurt. It's just little stuff, you know, like it's just basically sort of like they can't really touch you, but they can scare you, kind of a thing. So I don't want to say I know that for sure, but I'm wondering about that. Certainly, I think in this timeline, uh, your inner self manifests really much more quickly and more obviously than I think it did in the old timeline. Dang it, keeps resetting the chat keeps resetting. And I lose my place and I don't know what's going on. And I keep reading the same thing over and over. Cloud curtains. Anyway, so if you have decent medical, you're having sleep problems, you might want to have it looked in to see if it's narcolepsy, supposedly. Cloud curtains. This may be the right thing because I'm getting curtains that look like cloud curtains. Okay. Cloud curtains. I assume we're talking about clouds that look like curtains, not curtains that look like clouds. Do-do-do. Not seeing too much. I've been tired but can't sleep. Yeah, I can only sleep my normal amount. I feel like if I could just sleep more, because I'm still tired, but yet I can't sleep. It's not all the time, but it's definitely there, and it's super irritating. Super irritating. "29 blood types." Yeah, the blood thing just gets more ridiculous every second. It's nice to know I'm not alone and not being able to sleep. It's definitely been, my sleep has been better since I cut way back on fructose. I don't know if it's been about a week now that I've done that, and I'm not going to say that I'm not still tired during the day sometimes for no apparent reason, but it seems to have really helped. I don't want to say for sure because it's only been a week, so who knows, I need to do it for longer, but... Sleep 4 hours and awake 4 hours. Yeah, me, it's like 5 hours. I sleep 5 hours and I wake up. All right, so I don't know what cloud curtains is, but... All right, this one is from Christina Gerald again. I know that rabbits have big ears, but they didn't have that big ears in my old timeline. That's really cool. A lot of the animal parts are exaggerated in this timeline. I think that this ear thing is another one. It really looks like some kind of a idealized version of a rabbit, a more extreme version. Very pretty. All right, this is a personal one. There's a famous Indian dish. I swear to God, it was called tikki marsala. I love tikki marsala. I used to eat it all the time. It's been a little bit of a while, and the last time I said, hey, let's go out to Indian food. We haven't in a long time. And I look at the menu, and I've been to this place a bunch of times. In this timeline, it is tikka masala. And I first looked at it, I'm like, what's tikka? Because I know what tikki marsala is. I did not know what tikka was. Well, it's now tikka masala. It's not tikki marsala. And I was very careful to make sure I knew how to say it. I never heard of tikka before until this Sunday, basically. So I don't know if anybody else remembers tikki marsala. My brother did not. He knew what tikka was. He doesn't see very many MEs, though, so I don't know. But I was just laughing. I mean, I guess all of India is different in this timeline than the one I came from, even their language. It's the same dish. Can't find any hide nor hair of tikki marsala now. Nothing. You put it in, it just goes to this other thing. Actually, let me try search instead. Does anybody else remember tikki marsala? Oh, look, there. Okay, so some people remember tikki marsala. Chicken tikki marsala. But, you know, all the restaurants are now tikka masala. Tikka masala, even there. They were all tikki marsala before. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's two versions here. But I've never seen tikka before until recently. This is absolutely the first time I've heard of it. All right, so there are a few that remember tikki marsala. But, you know, and my brother's acting like I'm total idiot for saying tikki marsala. It's tikka here. Tikka. India has 9 versions of their own language. Well, whatever. It was always tikki marsala over here. I never saw tikka before. And it's the same restaurant I've been going to for years. Same menu. So, I mean, it's the same owners. Did they suddenly decide they're calling it tikka now? I don't know. I don't think they've changed the menu, though, since last time I've been there. It looks exactly the same. What happened with need input? I don't know. You know, really, I'm totally out of the loop. I try to stay out of the politics. So, although there are a lot of really neat channels, I generally don't know what's going on with them. I just watch their videos time to time, but I don't watch. There's not really anybody I watch their videos every time now. So, half the time I don't know. Sometimes I happen to see the video where they explain something, but. Has anyone noticed the human heart has a lot of white patches on it? Huh, that's worth checking out. Let's see what we got here. It's definitely gotten a lot bigger. All these gigantic structures in the top used to be really tiny. For me, really tiny compared to, I mean, like 20% the size of what they are now, way back. Okay, I think I see what you mean. There's drawings like this with this white. Of course, you know, it twists now. Instead of beating, it does a twisty thing. This area seems to twist different than here now. Yeah, you're right. A lot of them do show. It's not red everywhere now. Looks like there's growing some kind of white fibrous material on the outside. See here again. Even here it's not. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good observation. A lot of the images are showing it half some other creepy color. Yellow or white. Yeah, good observation. Good find. Look at that. Look. All right, so all of that. Was that fat? Fiber? What is all that white junk? Look at that. Look. It's not very red anymore. I guess they're going to say it was always covered with blood or something. It's not that red anymore. All this... I wonder what all this stuff in it looks like fat now that I'm looking at it. Look at the size of those. The feeder tubes are just huge in this timeline. They're just massive. I'm wondering if it's going to get heart-shaped eventually. They used to say that the traditional heart shape was actually two hearts put together. But I'm wondering if eventually we'll get it. See, you're kind of getting it close now, that it actually will become the traditional heart shape. I've guessed that for some time, and it's kind of getting close now. First, you've got to really wonder if it becomes actual heart-shaped eventually. Because, I mean, we've had that symbol for so long, so it just shows... Look at that. It actually is getting really close now. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, ho, ho. I mean, yeah, it's getting close now. You just have to think. I mean, we've had that shape in our lore for how long, and then the heart becomes like that. I don't think that's random at all. That's just shows either that time goes backwards and plans it out. Somehow it's all planned through time, what's happening, if that happens. It really is starting to look like that iconography, that would be the word. It's really starting to follow the iconography now. Wow. Anyway, yeah, Ghosty 333, good find. Dang it. Every time I sneeze or think, the chat resets. It's really irritating. It's always been tikka for me, but mild though. Tikki marsala, good dish. Okay, Moonlit Illusion remembers tikki marsala. Carla Red Pill remembers tikki marsala. Yeah, it was weird. My brother never heard of tikki marsala. He didn't say, "Oh, that's an alternate spelling," or he'd never heard of tikki marsala, and that's the only thing I've ever heard. And he's like, "No, it's tikka." Like tikka, I thought that was a whole different. When I first saw tikka, I'm like, that's something else. I don't know what that is, but all right. I'm glad somebody else remembers tikki marsala. Oh, need input had to evacuate due to flooding in Japan. He's back home. Okay. Luckily, most evacuations, I mean, they're very cautious. So 9 times out of 10, if you have to evacuate, it's just a hassle, and then you'll be back and everything will be fine. I mean, we've had to evacuate here because of fires and stuff, but not lately, luckily. More vessels in the heart. Diaphragm has changed. Oh, yeah, every muscle, every organ just about. I'm trying to think if anything hasn't changed. The brain is totally different. What hasn't changed? Feet are different. Hands are different. than curried goat. It's the only Indian food I've ever eaten. Well, there's naan bread. That's good. You probably ate that if you had tikki marsala. Tikka masala. It's always been tikka, but they always called it tiki. Huh. Yeah, my brother he loves Indian food and he's been eating it for like like 30 years, and he goes often, and he said he never heard of tikki marsala. No one died from flooding, according to Plume, who lives there. She did a vid about need input. Oh, well, good. I'm glad he's fine. I had not heard of any really bad flooding in Japan, but I don't watch mainstream news as much as I used to. And frankly, there's flooding all over the place lately, all the time. In places I don't remember there being flooding, like New York. I don't remember there being flooding in New York 10 years ago. Texas has so much flooding now. It didn't in my old timeline. They keep talking about the monsoon rains in the Southwest. We didn't have monsoon rains in the Southwest in my old timeline way back. That's just been the last 6 years. Monsoon rains? What the heck? We're not the tropics. It's freaking humid right now, too. You know what? People used to have swamp coolers all over the Southwest because it was dry. Swamp coolers only work in the dry. They don't work when it's humid. I mean, they barely work when it's humid. Everybody's pulling out their swamp coolers now. The last year or two, their swamp coolers just... A lot of businesses used to run on swamp coolers, but they can't anymore because now monsoon rains have always been here, and swamp coolers suck in the humidity. Has anyone had people they know randomly forget things? It seems like it would be impossible for them to remember. Or you mean it would be impossible for them to forget? Nobody remembers anything anymore. We were just talking about this on Retcon. Dang it reset again. Why does it keep doing that? I get right to where I want to be on the chat, and then it just, like, somebody pressed enter on the URL or something. It just keeps doing that. It's making me crazy. Then I lose my spot. Okay, so anyways, yeah, we were talking about that. It's just, nobody remembers anything. I mean, like, I have friends, I see them out once a month. We talk about stuff. The next month, I ask them, how's that situation going that we talked about last month? And it didn't happen. Oh, did you solve that argument with your sister? What argument with my sister? Oh, did you get that problem solved at the apartments? What problem with the apartments? It's impossible to talk about anything anymore. So I was asking some family members, like some of them see the ME and the rest of their family doesn't. I'm like, well, do the other family members also have the same problems with each other? And they said yes. One person swears they got the cat from found the cat in an alley, and another person swears they got the cat from their cousin, and now they're arguing about where they got the cat from. Just stuff like that. Nothing matches anymore. Just how many arguments you could only guess. I mean, when this stuff happens to me, because I know of the ME, I let it go. If she swears that such and such happened, I just, okay, you must be right, because I realize both be right. There's no sense fighting. We'll never figure it out anyways. But I just wonder how many couples and families and friends are sitting there having giant arguments about some factoid, that they remember totally different, that they're sure the other person should be able to remember correctly. And of course, each person is probably so confident in their memory that they're sure the other guy must be wrong, and the other guy is thinking the exact same thing. There's no freaking way I have this really good anchor memory of this, and you must be an idiot. There's got to be so much squabbling from that. QP agrees the heart shape will look like a heart shape. Yep. You just, it freaks me out when you think about that. I mean, and when it happens, it just, you just have to look at how it's all tied together going way back. Looks like bacon. It looks like steak, I want to say, but that's kind of gross. Heart meat's not that good, at least last time I tried it. It's not hideous, though, but... Visceral fat. Yeah, I don't know. They're all having it, though. Never seen a D in pigeon. Yeah, I agree with you. Pigeon is the proper spelling originally. California alligator farm. I couldn't follow your link when I... But alligators can live in like frozen... Aha! All right. It looks like OBS just stopped streaming for some reason. All right, I should be back now. I couldn't figure it out. I had internet, but OBS Studios just refused to send the data. So I had to reboot OBS, but... Okay, so you guys should be back in business. Good thing I was reading the chat, or I wouldn't have known. Now, where did I leave off? I don't think I said anything important for a while, so... What was the last thing I said before I disappeared? I don't know. My ex-girlfriend has forgotten and created an entire new history about us. Time matters. The thing is, that history may be real for her. I mean, she may not have created it. I mean, that may have been what really happened. That's kind of been my experience. I mean, everybody I know has whole different memories of most of our excursions. A lot of them are just, they're just different. They're not like better. It's not like they're painting themselves as better people or anything like that. They just are different. They're plausible sounding histories, just not anything that I remember. You were at California Alligator Farm. Okay, so I was just saying that we've covered a lot of the gators being really friendly in this timeline, and that it's very tropical in California now compared to the way it used to be. It's getting a lot more humid, so I would have said there's no alligator farms in California in the past, but now apparently, yep. There was a good find, though, because it's just more of that pattern of the alligators being friendly. You said how wonderful I am, Eva. Skookum has got a different timeline, apparently, than me. It just seems. He surely has to go over his videos before posting them. I'm not sure what we're talking about. You are answering if people were forgetting obvious things. Yeah, I think that they just have their own timelines. They're not forgetting that thing, I think, happened to them. Unless they're getting the downloads, but it just doesn't seem like it. Because if they're all getting the download, they should be getting the download of here. When people get downloads, it's like the download enforces the current reality. But it just seems like everybody has different realities. That they may not agree with me, but they also don't agree with each other. So there's like millions of little realities that people are remembering now. That's why you can't agree on anything. My partner remembers a very different me. Yeah, and then if you're angry at somebody for something that happened in the past, did they even do it in this timeline? I mean, maybe they didn't. Maybe this version of them didn't do it. Maybe they're mad at you for something some other version of you did. It's so complicated now, so I'd really just try to let stuff go. Somebody can do something to me last year, and they didn't do it in their memory now, that never happened, or maybe I was a jerk. Who knows, It really makes you just, you have to kind of live in the now, I guess. You just can't hold grudges, because who are you holding a grudge against? That person may not be here anymore. Everyone's brains have been hacked, and we are somehow immune. I think there's something special that we are able to tolerate the observation and let it into our conscious mind. But they all don't agree with each other either. They're all on different timelines, is the best I can tell. Even those that don't want to acknowledge the ME, they don't agree with each other. It's not like just us and all them. They're all confused too. They just don't know what's going on as much as we do. That's the best I can tell. I think the ringing is louder before a shift. Could be. I would say my best guess for my best indicator would probably be that my computers are really crabby and slow and my internet sucks. That would be, and then rebooting doesn't help very much like it should. The fatigue would be another one. I do think the fatigue is the other magic indicator for it, those two. But the shifting itself, it's kind of hard to nail it down because you're not sure when you see it, you observe a change. In most cases, you're not 100% sure when it changed. Sometimes you just saw it yesterday and it was different, or last week, but it's very rare that something changes and I know it's just been like today. My scar changed on my elbow. Yes, it's almost gotten now to the point where whose scar hasn't changed, whose injuries haven't changed, whose medical histories haven't changed. It's almost like this is just like, well, of course it did, because everybody's did. Who has the same scars and everything that they did before? The statue was almost lost at sea while being transported to America. Anybody remember this? We're talking about the Statue of Liberty. Yes, I looked over your, there's a whole bunch of factoids about the Statue of Liberty that are shifting. One of them that I saw in Shari D's little thing was that originally they're saying there was only going to be 3 presidents. And then they added the 4th one in later. Now, the last time I looked at the story, there was going to be 4, but Lincoln was going to go on the other side. And then the Rock, well, I guess it would be this side for you guys. The Rock was not stable there, so they put him on the other side where he is now. But now they're saying there was originally only going to be 3. Some of those are older MEs for me, like they were saying, like 6 months ago I saw they were saying they were originally going to put the Statue of Liberty over in Egypt, and then they changed their mind, and that it's just an old wives' tale now that France gave us the statue. Now it was some kind of a dude in France that got donations and also worked with people on our side, so it was no longer a gift from France. There's a lot of little Statue of Liberty things that are so different now. Apparently that stepping walk she's doing is supposed to symbolize walking away from slavery. She didn't used to step in my old timeline. Imagine what good dinner convo we can do now. Yeah, it's a problem now when I'm meeting people, because used to be you just continue and get updates about things that happened last month, but now I'm like, well, what happened with blah blah blah? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's tricky. And then she's acting like one of us is insane and it's not her. Then she's asking about stuff I supposedly did. I have no idea what she's talking about. France didn't give us the statue. What? Yeah, no. Some guy in France came up with this idea to make a statue, and then he gathered donations, and then they also gathered donations on the American side. That's the story now. The French government didn't have much of anything to do with it now. I mean, everything you ever got taught is all wrong, basically everything. Apparently, our teachers, when we were a kid, did not know any history at all, and the history books are completely wrong because almost everything I ever taught is now just a mistake. I've got a huge scar on my ankle that's been shrinking. Yeah, is anybody's scars not changing? Kai Lucas Zachary had a scar move. I'm reading off the topics of Reddit. Oh, yeah. I click that. This is one I go to a lot. It's Reddit, subreddit WTF. These are all the latest ones. And I keep a sharp eye on these because there's a lot of MEs in here and just new weird stuff. The guarana pant looks like a bunch of eyes. Basically, when you guys were saying buffering and it was saying no data, I wanted to see if I still had internet. So I clicked on Reddit, and this is what came up. And I did still have internet. Usually when I lose you guys, it's because I lost internet. But this time, I had plenty of internet, but OBS over here just died. You can compare scars. Yeah, until they move. Still trying to figure out my stream topic for tomorrow. One thing I'm curious about is just the interpersonal problems that I was just talking about with that the ME may be causing, not just for us, but for everybody. I mean, how many arguments, how is that affecting families and relationships if you can't have a discussion about the past? I mean, they've got to be handling it worse than me because I'll just let it go. I'll just say, okay, must be an ME in my mind, and I'll just, okay, whatever you say, and I'll just try to adapt to what she thinks happened. Dreams. I think there's some reality to dreams, some truth to them. They may be parables. I at least some. I don't know, dreams, science doesn't even have an answer for them. The Freemasons have a plaque on the cornerstone of Statue of Liberty. Yes, Shari, I'm glad you brought that one up. Yeah, I was really looking at that one because conspiracy theorists should go bananas over the Freemasons having a plaque on the cornerstone of the Statue of Liberty. I've never heard of that one. There should be so many freakouts over that. So that one is really suspicious. Yeah, the ME is a big relationship problem. What do people even talk about? I mean, most of the stuff we talk about is stuff that's going on in our lives. Like the story, it's like you've got a story and you keep changing the plot line. Like 50 First Dates. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Is it going to settle down, or is this just going to keep getting weirder and weirder? My wife just told me recently that I killed a mouse in her apartment bathroom when we first met, but I remember I didn't kill it. Weird. Yeah, just stuff like that. I'm like, what? That happened? People telling me about problems they had last year. I'm like, I don't remember any of that. Lincoln's memorial left hand is closed. I think it was really close to closed last time. Last time we looked, which wasn't that long ago, it was like this, like not clutched closed, but it was close to closed. It looked clenchy, but it wasn't Come on, images. Now I'm going to lose the internet. No Google. Let's see. All right. It's according to this, I've got streaming, though. Yeah, the statue is 2.5 times taller than the Christ Redeemer. The Christ the Redeemer is always changing heights. There's been a lot of MEs on that one. I just didn't know it that well, so I kind of just go by what everybody else says. It does look a little more clenchy than I remember like a few weeks ago. And the thumb sticking out on the right hand. See if there's a close-up. Need a big image, people. Yeah, it does look pretty close to close now. Almost a fist. Oh, yeah, look. It's closed. That hand is closed. Yeah, that's a good find. It was kind of loosely closed. Now it is a fist now. That's a good find. I'm sure that has changed because I was really looking at it. The fingers were down more before. Now they're under. Very good find. The statue, I don't know why, it's like a creepy episode of Doctor Who or something. I mentioned before I don't remember this foot sticking out. But that's a little bit older one. See anything else? I talked about the weird neck thing before. That the outfit over there on the neck. Actually, is it... No, it's still there. It's like a giant spider on his neck. Actually, it doesn't look as bad as last time I looked. You know, I think that neck region has changed. It was more like down like this before. Now there's just like a bar up here. It looks like that's changed. It's actually, it's higher up now. Yeah. Look at that. That neck business is higher now than it was. It was just last week, I think. This was coming down more. The spider under his neck was down here more. Now it's all... Excuse me. Shoot. I need a bigger image of it. This one looks pretty good, but it's tiny. Blurry. Whenever you want to really see an ME, it can be very hard to find the right image. I need an image that's bigger so I can blow it up. Here's a close-up. That mess on his neck is now pushed up under his throat a bunch more. It's like... Look at that mess under his neck. That does not look comfortable. Check that out. Spider webs on the hand, too. They don't dust it. Yeah, that whole cravat thing has changed since last time. Look at... There was more down here. They didn't have these pieces right under the chin like that. Looks like a giant noodle under his neck now. It was more down here before. Okay, so we've got choky neck and clutchy fist. He looks a little bit less pained than last time I looked. He looks serious in this one. But he was looking a little bit more tense, like his face last time, I think, too. Huh. Weird. Yeah, it was a half grasp before. Now he's... Him sitting on the flag of America. Does he sit on the flag of America? A large United States flag is draped over the chair back and sides. Are you serious? I've never heard of that. It was only his coat. His coat only was draped. Oh, okay. I did notice there's more drapage of something. It used to just be one side, and I commented that it drapes over both sides. So the other side is a flag. Because that was an ME for me, but I didn't know what all that fabric was. Okay, okay. Interesting. So, yeah, so he's sitting on it? Whoa. Yeah, no, 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 no. That extra, see, it used to be just draped over that side, and I noticed that it's over this side now. Let's see. Let me find where it says flag on here. Flag. Seriously, he's parked on the flag. His coat frock is unbuttoned, and a large United States flag is draped over the chair back and sides. French paid special attention to Lincoln's expressive hands, which rest on enormous arms of circular ceremonial chair, which bears fasces, emblems of authority from Roman antiquity. All right, so he's got a crunched up flag. He's sitting basically smooshing his back on. That's just weird. That is not in my old timeline. That's a good find. That is a good find. Yeah, no, 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 no. Cupie, I think, saw that one. Good job. Yeah, a couple months ago I saw that there was some extra drapage, but wow. Yeah, I don't know if he's sitting on it, but it's squashed up at least behind his back then. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a very good image. I don't like it. It's not something I would pick. Yeah, that's weird. I guess I'm a hero mouse killer now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, these past history changes. Oh my gosh. I I mean, how is that going to play out? Are we going to just get more and more history changes? Everybody's going to assume everybody's memory just sucks all the time? Are we going to finally have to admit that something is awry? Are other people going to have to finally accept this? Or are they just going to fight over everything? I just can't see this continues on like this indefinitely. Something's got to give. You just can't have everybody's histories always different. The other hand is a little different too. Yeah, I think it's a little more clenchy also. Both hands are. QB, when did you realize he was sitting on the flag? When did you find that one out? I remember it well because I felt like I couldn't protect her from a mouse. Well, I guess now you did. The Christ statue is less than 100 foot. I thought it was one of the tallest in the world. Yeah, and the Statue of Liberty is a lot smaller than it used to be too. And a lot of these other new statues are a lot bigger. I'm still going by my past statement that I think the old school stuff is shrinking, and its quality is going down, and the new stuff is getting more grand. I really think there's going to be like a changing of the old stuff is going to just diminish. We've got a lot of new territories, Alaska, um, areas of Russia, a lot of new territories coming in that perhaps will be more prominent in the future. When you find another affected person, you are so happy. It's hard to even find people who would even entertain the concept, really. Look at Lincoln's armrests and Google fasces. It's the symbol of fascism. I don't know, I've seen those things a long time, and it's just lately that they're the symbols of fascism. I think it's just another one of the 350 news conspiracy theories. I really don't know what to make of it all. About 3 weeks ago, we were chatting about it. Yeah, his hand was not closed into a fist 3 weeks ago. More like Lincoln in his later years. Could be. Sooner or later, we won't be able to recognize anything. Yeah. I'll tell you, if I watch the History Channel, most of that stuff, I've never heard of it. Even things I knew well. The whole history, Native American history, there's so many more tribes now. Histories are so different. World War II, I don't hardly recognize any of that stuff. It used to be that even if I couldn't remember all the details, at least I knew all those, I recognized the words and I had a vague idea of what it was about. Now I'm like, even the medical stuff, the biological stuff, I'm like, I've never heard of any of that stuff. The terminologies they're using for reproduction, even the DNA now, there are so many more. That there's not just X and Y chromosomes anymore. There's so many weird ones that contribute to these weird, the female only parthenogenesis stuff, and there's just so many weird things now. I'm like, I mean, I don't think I could possibly keep up with all the new, totally different. The old stuff's gone. Like everything I once knew, it's just gone. I have to start all over again. And then you start all over again, and then next year it's a whole nother thing again. I mean, stuff I learned 3 years ago now is already defunct. It's flipped 3 times since then. It's like I don't even want to look at it anymore because it's like this is all baloney and it's going to be gone anyway. A lot more pictures of the poodle moth and a lot more kinds of poodle moth. Originally, there was just that one. I do not say the fascism symbol was there from the beginning. I think the MA converts it to those symbols over time. Yeah. I don't think that was fascism before. But everything is a conspiracy theory now. Like, so many things we see change, and then they become part of a conspiracy theory. Like Tartaria, that statue on the Capitol building. It used to just be a little stick. Now it's a statue. 2-3 months after we found out that it was a statue, now suddenly the statue is a part of this conspiracy theory. So it's like things are changed to be more interesting, more thought-provoking, to maybe expose this reality more, to be more, I don't know. Nano Arts Net's drawing. I love how I feel normal here. Yeah, I don't know what we'll do if we didn't have each other at least. It's a statue of a native woman. Really? On the Capitol building? Because last I checked, it was some goddess. We were talking about it being some kind of goddess. Statue on the Capitol. All right, now I gotta look. Statue on Capitol building. Statue of Freedom, the bronze statue. Thomas Cross. Oh, that reminds me. The one of the things that Shari D's little thing was talking about was the Statue of Liberty was never called the Statue of Liberty. Well, I mean it is, but that's not the name of it anymore. Statue of Freedom, classical female figure with long flowing hair, wearing a helmet, composed of an eagle head and feathers. I said, what is that character that this Statue of Freedom is? The Statue of Freedom's crest helmet suggests she's preparing to protect the nation. Are more commonly associated with Minerva or Bellona, Roman goddesses of war. See, I've never heard of Bellona. I've heard of Minerva, but I've never heard of this Bellona, goddess of war. Alright, so she's not, it doesn't look like she's anything in particular in this timeline. So they're not saying what she is. She's just got this and she's got that. She's got Roman things, Native American things. I wonder if this one's kind of in flux. Might be interesting to keep an eye on this one. This might be one of those things we really should keep an eye on. Let's take a look at this statue. Alright. Oh, there's an eagle on the head. I don't remember that. Statue of Freedom. I don't remember that eagle being there. Last I checked. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, this one might be changing. Oh, they see the eagle head sneaks up under there. It's kind of a tacky looking thing as it is now. Huh. Star Trek Voyager had a Bellona. Yeah, Bellona Troy. Omen goddess of freedom libertas. Huh. Roman. Roman goddess of freedom libertas. Let's see what that is. Libertas is the Roman goddess and personification of liberty. She became a politicized figure in the late Republic, featuring on coins and popular blah blah. Okay. Okay, so that's who she is then. The Statue of Liberty, which is, okay, there's that name of the Statue of Liberty is actually called Liberty Enlightening the World. I do think I mentioned this in the past, but it was just called the Statue of Liberty before. It was not called Liberty Enlightening the World, but in this timeline, that's the name of it. In New York, derives from the ancient goddess Libertas. Huh. Yeah, no. But whatever. Libertas, along with other Roman goddesses, have served as the inspiration for many modern-day personifications, including Statue of Liberty on Liberty Island, according to National Park Service. Libertas. I've never even heard of that Roman goddess, Libertas. Huh. Libertas. Weird. Lincoln was born in Kentucky now, not Illinois. Dang, I don't remember where he was born, so I can't chime in, but it's a big difference if the birthplace has changed. Pikachu does not have the black spot at the end of his tail. It's a flip-flop. Yeah, for me, it just disappeared and stayed. Originally, the original had the tip for me, so it's a straight ME for me. Oh, yeah, you're right. It's Belana Torres. Troy was a different one. How many statues make art now? The statue of young Abraham Lincoln wearing a pair of jeans was installed in 1941 in the U.S. courthouse in Los Angeles. Abraham Lincoln wearing jeans. That's just weird. Never heard of that one. At least they give him some comfortable pants. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, what is the history of jeans now anyway? How long do they go back for? I was just sitting here idly wondering why jeans are always blue still. I mean, sometimes they're black, but why do we always wear blue? Is there something so great about that color now? Sometimes people wear black jeans, but still blue. I mean, now we can make them any color we want. It's Pepto-Bismol changed to Pepto-Bismol. No, it didn't. You're joking me, right? I'm assuming that this is not. All right, no, it's still Pepto-Bismol. Do not scare me like that. Bismo. Yeah, you scared me. No, it's still Pepto-Bismol. All right, history of jeans. But it is even older than we maybe think. I bet you didn't know. Let's see. Invented in 1873. Jeans are named after the city of Genoa. All right, this is interesting because they're just saying it's older than we may think, but they're not saying how old they are exactly. Didn't really get the answer I was looking for. Let's try Wiki. Patented in 1873. Prior to Levi Strauss' patented trousers, the term blue jeans had been long in use for various garments. So they're saying it comes from Genoa now. I don't remember. I actually did look at the history of jeans in the past. I was curious about it. I don't remember any mention of Genoa. I just remember that being early America. By the 17th century, jean was a crucial textile for working class people in northern Italy. Yeah, I think they go back a much longer way now. Interesting, interesting. I thought jeans were made for farmers and cowboys. It looks like those fingers are stretching back a little further now. I really saw Pepto-Bismol. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. It would be a huge ME for me, but I mean, that does fit the ME pattern. I have definitely seen stuff show up and disappear real quick, too. It's like you just flash through that timeline or something. Jeans used to be American. Yep, yep. Early America. And I've looked at the history of jeans before. There was no Italy in there. If I only knew ME during art history. Yeah, all the art has changed. A lot of the art is, I mean, all of it. I don't think any is the same. All right, Lincoln with blue jeans. Let's check this out. Next thing you'll know, he wore them all the time or something ridiculous. Let's spell it right. Lynn, colon, with blue. Is that where we're going? Oops. I think we better put president in there. What clothes did Lincoln wear? Wore his black broadcloth coat, vest, and trousers in office. All right, 10 facts about Lincoln. All right, let's just look and see what we've got here. Self-educated. Legislature. Lincoln's wife came from a wealthy slave-owning family. I don't know on that one. He was not an abolitionist. That's changed. He was an abolitionist in my timeline. His main purpose was to preserve the Union. That was one of his purposes. The bill to create U.S. Secret Service was on the president's desk the night of his assassination. I've not heard of that one. That one is fodder for a lot of conspiracy theories, too. I'm surprised I wouldn't have heard of that one by now. During his assassination, Lincoln's bodyguard was absent. I have not heard of that one. The brother of John Wilkes Booth saved Lincoln's son. Not heard of that one either. A famous actor at the time pulled Robert Lincoln to safety at a train station after he had fallen on the tracks. It was just as the train was about to leave the station. So many weird coincidences in this timeline. So many weird coincidences. All right. Let's see if we can find that Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis is Lincoln with blue jeans. Yeah, doesn't look like it. I assume that that is just Photoshop. I guess it's this one. No, I don't know. I don't know which one of these it is. Yep, I cry uncle. That would take a bunch of research. Figure it out. How's the cat doing? Don't hear him. Oh, he's, usually the kitty stays over at the other, there's a little side house on the property that my friend lives in, and usually Kitty is over there hanging out, so he doesn't usually bug me at night. Because usually I'm sleeping now, and then he'll be over there either catting around or sleeping over there, so it was actually kind of weird he came over here these couple nights. Those couple nights. This is more, him not being here is normal. Okay, so let's get back onto the originally scheduled mandalas. Let's play with alligators. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know, this timeline loves these images of kids near alligators. I see it all the time. New news, old news. Shari's got me fascinated with that one. All right. All right, let's see. Okay, so this one is interesting. Apparently, in this timeline, Finland was for a while on the side of this Nazi Germany. So basically, they kind of got their butt kicked a bunch of times. Now, this makes sense in a way because Finland's stuck on to Germany now. They didn't used to be for me. So they got their butt kicked a bunch, and they finally agreed to sign an armistice with was it what I don't know, it was an armistice, an agreement with the Nazis to basically be on their side towards the end of the war. Treaty of Tartu. Poland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania became independent. German troops left Finland, and British ships cruised in the Baltic. Anyway, I just read this. It's kind of complicated. I read it earlier in the week, so now I forgot most of it. But basically, Finland was on the side of Nazi Germany for a while. I don't recognize any of these wars. The continuation war. I don't remember any of this terminology. This is completely alien. The Moscow Armistice was signed by Finland and Soviet Union in 1944, ending the continuation war, though the final peace treaty was not to be signed until 1947. Finland was being forced to cede parts of Finnish Karelia, a part of Sala, and islands in the Gulf of Finland. The new armistice also handed whole parts of Petsamo over to the Soviet Union. Finland also agreed to legalize communist parties and ban fascist organizations. All right, so finally they lost and had to kick them back out. Anyway, it's weird. So basically, they were for a little while. They were for a little while Nazis. At least I read this last week. They were. I don't know. It's all complicated now, so I'd have to reread the whole thing for an hour. But anyway, the whole history of Finland is just weird now. It was the only European country bordering the Soviet Union in 1939. Only 3 European capitals were never occupied: Moscow, London, and Helsinki. It was a country which sided with Germany, but in which native Jews and almost all refugees were safe from persecution. "19,000 Soviet prisoners of war died in Finnish prison camps during the continuation war, which means that 29.6% of Soviet POWs taken by the Finns did not survive." They had concentration camps for Russian civilians in East Karelia. I guess it's the continuation war then, when they were on the Nazi side. It aided in the military assault of the Soviet Union by Germany from the beginning of Operation Barbarossa in 1941. No. Finland was never attacking Russia in World War II on my timeline. No, it just wasn't. But it wasn't even located in that area, so no. Yeah, yep. Someone has an assistance alligator now. Yep. I don't even know what to say. Freaking alligator. In my timeline, it would just bite your leg off. There were no friendly alligators. They were just like little snapdragons. They saw something, they ate it. Yeah, a lot more animals are way more friendly. They can be made into pets a lot easier now. I mean, they'll still be maybe difficult pets, but they're not biting you and stuff. Yeah, see, Finland wasn't located on Russia in my old timeline. It moved about a year and a half ago. It just jumped. It was over in Europe more. So I guess, I really did wonder when I saw it over there, Finland, Sweden, that whole appendage was in a different spot. I saw it over there in Russia, and I really figured that history would have to change because it was so close to Russia. 2-hour mark reached. I don't know how I managed to talk so long. All right. So that one's weird. Very weird. This timeline has a lot of weird growth and diseases and defects and stuff. This one is a particularly weird one. Cherubism. It causes your face grows these cysts until your cheeks puff out. So this woman has a milder form of it. There's something extra weird. Now this woman has a pretty severe form. So all of this, the bone doesn't grow right. It grows into these cysts. Sometimes it even pushes your eyes up. Although her eyes look weirdly humongous too, not just pushed up. So here's an x-ray of her. Her eyes aren't just pushed up, they're pushed out, and they're huge. So it gets in your cheeks, it gets in your face. But here's what's weird about this cherubism is they say most people grow out of it, and by the time they're 30, they become normal. This one had a mild version of it, and then she became normal. They say a lot of people just grow out of it, and then the cysts go away, and the bone reforms. So like here, this woman, when she was a kid, had it, and then when she was older, she just looked normal. Now it doesn't always go away, but just the idea that it would, your bones would grow all these cysts and you not have regular bones, and then the bone reforms and the cysts go away. That's the weird part for me. I've not heard of any such thing where it just spontaneously corrects itself. It's very weird. So I wanted to bring that one up. I've certainly never heard of this cherubism, but I have really never heard of this thing where it just spontaneously goes away. It's really weird. Now, sometimes they do reconstructive surgery if it's really bad. But if it's not really bad, they just leave it. It's weird. Super weird. I think that one was reconstructed. Anyway, yeah, just weird. Very weird. Cherubism. All right, so cherubism. All right, this is another one. I've kind of heard this word thrown around lately. At first, it was interspersed. If you had a tornado or a cyclone, they'd call it a funnel cloud. But now you can have a funnel cloud and no tornado or anything touching. Now, I've kind of mentioned this before, that when I first saw tornadoes and hurricanes and stuff, you just see a short, squat, fat kind of a cyclone. But they've gotten, longer and longer and like this, okay? So they're saying that they can just go cloud to cloud. They don't have to touch down. So you can have a funnel cloud that just goes from like this cloud to this cloud. They don't touch down. Now, it used to be that the spinning would touch down, but now they can just have, they're just like little fingers, or they just go to other clouds, but they're spinning up there. So they can have this big long tendril and just be not a tornado at all. So my old timeline, you just didn't have these long, skinny, you see tornadoes now that they go like a big old roller coaster, it's just insane. It used to be just a little short thing, and then it got longer and longer and longer and longer, crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. They didn't used to be ridiculous like that. They're like roller coasters now. They're like giant spaghetti things. A funnel cloud. So see here, it just goes from one cloud to another, but it never hits the ground. So they're not the same thing anymore. And it was just weird. I just wanted to bring that up because it's just, you used to imagine there'd be a spinning vortex hitting the ground. Now, no, it could just be, I guess you could just fly through one and not even, the people on the ground are unaffected. Tornadoes look more like the ones in the Wizard of Oz. Yes, yes, yes. It's just gotten, like, they used to be the most phantasmagorical, ridiculous exaggerations in TV, and now all of those are just real. All right, so funnel clouds. All right, the history of Venus. This one made me laugh. There's a lot of Emmys for Venus, but I did find another one a couple days ago. Probably should have pulled this one up earlier and found it, but somewhere on here, I think it was on here. So things about Venus in my old timeline, it was very acidic and like gaseous. You could not go into the atmosphere, that it was just too acidic. But in this timeline, it's once you get past the sulfuric clouds, it's not that bad. It's mostly carbon dioxide and nitrogen. They did actually land a lander on there in the 60s and some other ones in like the 70s. We never landed on Venus in my old timeline because you couldn't do it. It was just too acidic on there. But somewhere in here I saw, I don't remember where now, but they're saying that some believe the atmosphere of Venus once was like Earth with water and stuff. Now, I've never heard of that, but this is more like a Mars kind of story to me. I've never heard that the atmosphere of Venus, like the whole place used to be like Earth. And, you know, now it's like Earth's twin. And in my old timeline, it was Mars that was Earth's twin. But Venus is about the same size as Earth. It once had an Earth-like atmosphere, some people are saying. So, that opens a can of worms, because if it's not that acidic and it has like land forms and stuff, we could start hearing conspiracy theories about ancient life on Venus now. In my old timeline, that was fairly laughable unless you were talking about some kind of life that was very, very alien to ours. But now you could have ruins on Venus that were ancient Venusians. Why not? If it used to look like Earth and have water and all that stuff. I have never heard of that before. The fact that you can see Venus as a big star in the sky is also an Emmy for me, but it's been around. It's a little bit older Emmy. Venus was Earth's twins. Yeah, Mars is now very different size than Earth. It used to be very close in size to Earth, and now Venus is close to size in Earth. Yeah, Shari D does not remember the landing of the lander on Venus. Yeah, no, we could not land on Venus. It was a no-go. What is the temperature of Venus? That's a good question. Temperature... Yes. 864 degrees. Wow. Lead would melt on the surface of the planet. Well, how did we land on it then? Highest and lowest temperature. The average is 860. They may be as low as 173 degrees. Huh. Yeah, I don't get how it could be, like, once had water and stuff, though. But... we landed on Venus. Oh, we landed on Venus in this time. Line. I was just checking this. Venera 7, the first spacecraft to land on another planet. It measured the temperature of the atmosphere on Venus. In 1972, Venera 8 gathered atmospheric and surface data for 50 minutes after landing. Venera 9 landed on the surface of Venus. Well, there you go. So there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, see, even if Noel remembers as me, you couldn't land on it before. But Omega Man remembers landing on it. Yeah, when did you learn of the landing? There's another question for you. So, next one. This one's a funny one. Oops. Hopefully I can... I'm not sure if I can get on this one. Let's see. I might have used up all my free visits. Nope, I still can. Okay. Ancient life awakens amid thawing ice caps and permafrost. I ran out of free stories. Let me try a different one. Okay, basically what this story is going to say, though, is that the permafrost... Go back. Let's try it on Boston Globe. The permafrost at the poles is melting. Now, the whole thing... Okay, this is 1ME for me. They used to use the word tundra, and whenever they showed tundra, they would show icy land. In this timeline, tundra has like plants and stuff on it. See if I can get close. So that's 1ME for me. Another one is just that. So all this stuff is thawing. So they're saying basically that these old mosses were found under the permafrost in the ice in the glaciers, and they took this moss and it was still greenish, and they put it in like really nice soil, and it just freaking grew, and it's like thousands and thousands of years old, and they just grew this moss. And then they're saying that they found nematodes. This was in the Washington Post article, which they're not letting me see now, but you only get so many free ones, so I might have used up all my visits. They said they found nematodes, and they took the nematodes, frozen nematodes, and they put them in like nematode growth media. You know, it's not like they're extracting DNA and doing anything. They're just taking the frozen animal and they're putting it in growth media, and it's growing. So they're saying that 41,000-year-old nematodes were found frozen, and they just plumped them into some growth media, and they lived. This moss is thousands and thousands of years old, still has greenness in it. It's not even the spores. They're not even talking about the spores. The moss itself grew. It's like ridiculous. So basically, you could just freeze up stuff, and then it'll just like survive. Nematodes and moss. These are pictures of the moss here. I can show you the... So this whole story, like, you know, we're talking about there's petrified bones, intact wet cells, and functional DNA in them. This is the moss. They said that... let's see if National Post has it. Die of old age here. They've got to load their 67 advertisements. This moss was faded and torn, but sported a verdant hue, a possible sign of life. So they're saying, I guess this moss is from 1550 to 1850. Since 1850, the plant lay frozen under a 100-foot thick slab of ice as humans discovered antibiotics, blah, blah, blah. So they basically grew this moss that from 1550 to 1850. They have a bunch of other mosses they grew. They've got these ancient nematodes they grew. You wouldn't assume anything buried for hundreds of years would be viable. The material had always been considered dead, but by seeing green tissue, I thought, well, that's pretty unusual. Many plants and animals simply succumb to the cold at winter's onset, wailing their seeds. Mosses have forged a tougher path. They desiccate when temperatures plummet, sidestepping the potential hazard of ice forming on their tissues. I'm hoping it's coming back up. Come on, OBS. You can... This is not looking good here. No data, no data, no data. It works again. Really? Is it back? Is it back? Ah, it is back. I reboot OBS. I don't know what OBS is doing. I've never had a problem with OBS. It keeps punking out or something. I'm just rebooting it. I have internet. It's weird. I don't know what. All right. So I think I pretty much covered that. Moss back to life. Nematodes back to life. Pattern. I expect other things will be frozen and reconstituted back to life. That seems to be a huge pattern with this timeline. All right. Now let's get to one from Shari D. The crazy horse statue might be an older ME. In general, I had not heard of it until recently, but it looks different now than last time I looked at it. Shari D brought this to my attention. See if we can get some images to load here. Huh. Now what, the internet's going to go out too? Meh. Really? I think this is like the last one. Have to close it off after this. Streaming status bad. All right, so images, images, images. All of them are showing this whole step thing here. You could say maybe they recently completed it, but there's no old images without this. I don't remember this hole in here. All right, that one might be an earlier image. But like pretty much all the images have this now. The other thing is, I don't remember, the real Emmy for me is the final version that it's supposed to be. Changed for me. I don't remember it being like a half like this. It's just part horse and this man. That's not how, with this finger pointy thing, I do not remember this being what they're shooting for. So this is going to be the final one. I don't remember this. It looks really quite different than how I remember how they were going to do it. This might be another one to keep an eye on. The crazy horse statue. What's the final product supposed to look like? It wasn't this. That looks more like some kind of Poseidon thing. Than, it doesn't even look Native American. Look at that. There's not really, besides the fact that there's a horse there. I remember it looking Native American, for starters. That could be anything. I don't get what the pointing finger is. So yeah, Shari noticed that it looks weird in general, the existing one. She doesn't remember the road along the face, in front of the face like that. There's a lot of images where there's a big road now right in front of his face, so it would be like here on the in-process one. I'm not sure on that one, but I know for sure it didn't look like Poseidon before. It looked totally Native American before. Has anyone felt the back of their neck? The vertebrates are on the inside now. Yeah, I don't know. The whole backbone's different. Crazy Horse has been changing over a year now. The structure behind the statue is new. Yeah, the whole thing looks different. So anyway, that might be a good indicator photo. I've got to start thinking of some of these as... I should really... Let's see. Is that a big one? Yeah. New image. I should stick that in the indicators. Indicator photos. There we go. All right. Boink. See if I can get one more thing to load here, and then I'm probably going to cut on out of here. It's getting late. Doom, 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 doom. I was just looking at this the other day. How your backbone is supposed to look. There's a lot less curve now. There used to be more curve down here. It's more like a hump now. This part, now I guess this thing here accounts for a lot of the curve. It's way thicker. This one shows it a little more like how I remember it, but I remember more, this part hump was higher, and then there was more of an S down here. It's not very much of an S curve anymore. It's straightening out. It kind of makes sense. It's probably a lot more stable if it's stacked more straight. Why should our normal curve, our normal backbone be a really huge curve? It just seems like a lot of work for the muscles. This is also what I want to show. Look at how big that backbone is now. It's so thick compared to what it used to be, maybe half that thickness, and that was it. It really looks like a giant parasite in there. It looks so alien to me. I mean, it's just huge. Look at that. That just does not look normal to me. Tiny little image, though. But yeah, every time I look at that, I'm just like, nope. Nope. Oh, Shari doesn't remember the tonsil stones. Yeah, they're gross. I've had those on before, though. Tonsil stones. So they just, like, they looks like they're, last I checked, they were like a calcification that builds up on the sides of the mouth. And they just kind of pluck them out. Usually you could just kind of yank them out. It's gross. Tonsilloliths. That's a new one. I've not heard of tonsilloliths. Trapped debris hardens or calcifies. Happens most often if you have chronic inflammation in the tonsils. Benign accumulations of debris. Not dangerous and usually easily treatable. Still, it's totally creepy. Tonsil stones. So there they are. You get stones in your... I've seen, like, on Reddit, there's images of people getting tweezers and yanking them out. Gross. Yeah, no tonsil stones in my old timeline. Apparently, it's fairly common here to get them, though. My back has been hurting pretty badly. You know, mine has too, actually. I wonder if that's related to the hips thing. One thing that seems to help is to make sure I'm laying flat or very close to flat on the bed with a small pillow. There's a lot of new terminology. I think one was kyphatic. I've not heard that until just recently. I think kyphatic was it. I just saw it. Kyphosis. Okay, kyphotic. Kyphotic spine. Basically, it's kind of a humpback thing caused by osteoporosis. So this is kyphosis. it just seemed like if I lay more flat and make sure I just have one small pillow for my head, it seems to be helping. Or I'm not sure if it's just that ME change has normalized and I've adapted, or if that helped. But I've never heard of this word kyphosis before, but it's basically kind of a forward humping thing. So lay yourself flat. This whole structure here is so different now. This thing here with this weird tailbone. But yeah, I just saw that the other day, another new terminology. Keeping up with all these new words is a challenge. Animals with Down syndrome. Animals with Down syndrome, really? Stay on here all night with everybody else's MEs. Are you serious? Okay, so maybe this is not real. Debunking this mistaken trend. All right, so there's some animals with deformed faces, but they don't have Down syndrome, according to this article. Almost completely fallacious. Certainly, there's a lot of weird-shaped animals. They're blaming it on generations of inbreeding. So basically, they're blaming it on breeding now. They're saying they don't have Downs. Cats are unable to develop, and like virtually all animals are unable to develop Down syndrome. So what's the explanation? Huh. A quasi-Down syndrome in apes. Apes have 24 pairs of chromosomes, blah, blah. Okay, so here it is. Genetic defect in apes that's similar to Down syndrome. A chimpanzee with an extra chromosome. They're saying it's analogous to Down syndrome. All right, so they're not. I don't know. There's this timeline loves to shop around these deformities, basically. So this might be another example of it. Another way to shop them around. They're saying they don't have Down syndrome, but I think we'll hear more on this. I don't know if they'll say they have Down syndrome in the future, but they're going to have. I expect to see more deformities and syndromes if the trend keeps up, is all. Please delete any unwanted realities. Yeah. All right, so yeah, I mean, obviously deformities aren't going to be good for survival of any creature, but they should have been. So they're blaming a lot of this on human inbreeding of these animals. I guess it does make sense that occasionally an animal would be born with a defect, and in the wild they probably would not survive. That's the whole basic concept behind Darwinism, that most of them won't survive, but a few it'll be beneficial. But I don't know. There's just more shopping around of the defects. I think we're just going to see more of that. Weird appearances. I don't know if it's getting us used to new and unusual looks so that those things can come into our reality. Certainly a lot of these animals with Down syndrome, I mean, we're seeing goats with their tongues hanging out, and we're seeing animals with weird flat faces, and then, you know, first they're a weird defect, and then they're a subspecies. So maybe that's just more of the same. First this is a defect, then it'll be a cat breed, you know. So we see this, maybe there'll be a species of monkey that looks like this next. I mean, there already are species of monkeys that look far weirder than that. So this might be more of that, the ME shenanigans. Anyways, so it's getting late. Sorry, the stream has been really glitchy. Not sure what the problem is. The entire computer is working fine except for the streaming program. I don't know what's up with that. So anyways, it's late and I think it's time for me to go. Let's see, let me just see. I think I've got two super chats, I think. See if I can remember how to check super chats. Super chats. Live chat. I swear it was at the top, but now I don't see it. Oh, here, this is it. Show your support. No. Chat. That would be if I wanted to give me money. Dang it, I swear it was at the top. Nope, I don't want pop-out chat. Shoot. I swear, every time I look at it, it's like half the time it's there. Alright, no. That would be if I wanted to send myself a super chat. That doesn't make sense. Alright, I give up, but I do believe Andon. There was one other one. Cannot for the life of me figure out how. Bugging me. I'm wondering if it'll show on this other computer. Oh, it's running slow. I don't know if you guys are making any progress on the UK meetup. I know you guys were talking about that the last few weeks. All right. Shoot, now I can't even find the here. Yeah, see, I don't see it. I thought it used to be here. I'm going to just try clicking on that and see what I find. See, I think that's what I've already got, though. That one just is me. It would be me trying to give myself money. Emoji. Yeah, I swear it was like there, though. Before. Weird. I don't know if they've moved it. I remember finding it there, and then I couldn't, and then I could again. That's not it. I don't know. I cry uncle. Anyway, thanks everybody for all the super chats. I really appreciate it. Sorry, the user error. I can't find anything on here. I can figure out how to sign out. Seems like I'm missing. I'm going to sign out on this one then. Everything's like a snail. All right. Let's see if we can get this to work. Stop streaming. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Very much appreciate it. As usual, you guys contribute a lot of the Emmys, so I always appreciate that. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.